It has been an undeniably tough year for all of us. One of the toughest we have ever experienced. All of us here tonight have lived through the shared experience of a pandemic, although we have all experienced it very differently. We may have worked from home, our kitchens became our offices, we may have been furloughed, we may have been a key worker, or we may have had time to find new opportunities. While the world was changing, the EIC was still supporting our sector more than ever before. In our industry, we've seen an increase in self-harming behaviour of 78%, and those seeking support for mental health has increased from 1 in 3 to 1 in 2. 5,746 people contacted the charity at breaking point, and within our industry, there were 38,000 redundancies. We have all had to adapt, and the charity has adapted too, so that we can keep supporting our industry. But something which will never change is how we support those who need it most. Our caseworkers are a small team, but they are a mighty one. Every single person who contacts the charity will speak with one of our caseworkers. Our team are not just call handlers or charity representatives, they are the people who make it all happen. There are no better people to tell you the value of the EIC team than the people we've supported.
I'm one of 5 kids. Second eldest, Dave, myself, Darren, Tonya and Ryan. Ryan, being the youngest, he learnt all the bad things that we did as kids. So by the time he was 6, he actually had a purpose-made motocross bike, a little 50cc Italjet. We were racing up at Merthyr Tydfil, and not only did he fall off, but he bashed his nose on the handlebars as well. And my mother instantly put her foot down and said, "My baby boy is not racing motorbikes anymore, end of." I knew Ryan was taking part in the Welsh 2-day enduro. He sent me a WhatsApp after day 1. He'd dropped the bike on the first stage, just slid off. It took him a minute or so to get the bike started again. He picked it up and he'd lost a couple of minutes on that first stage. By the time he'd got to the end of the first day, he'd fought his way back through the field to 7th overall, and he was fired up, ready for day 2. Day 2 coincided with me attending my friend's funeral, and we were in the wake at Folkestone Rugby Club when I got a phone call from my mother. He was in a coma. He'd suffered a severe impact to the front of his head. He had punctured, collapsed lungs. Ribs number 1 and 2 had been broken. He had trauma to his right elbow and trauma to his right knee. And the most important thing was to get him through the first night. He was then transferred from the intensive care unit in Cardiff to the high dependency unit in Cardiff. He remained there for a further 3 weeks. So eventually he made it to Neath Port Talbot Hospital. Whilst Ryan was at the Neath Port Talbot Neurological Hospital, the EIC introduced us to Simon Tandy. Simon is an occupational therapist who works as a consultant for the EIC. His approach was very much, I'm here for the good of Ryan. Simon's influence really came to play when we were looking at the next stepping stone for Ryan, which was the halfway house, going from being in hospital to being in a rehab home where he could then learn to start caring for himself. And Ryan has finally started rehab therapy at the Gower Golf Club, and he's driving a lawnmower. The service that the EIC provide, it's there for you. And anything you can do to get involved, it's your own people are going to benefit from it. So what are you waiting for? electricalindustries.org.
Our caseworkers are a small team, but they are a mighty one. Every single person who contacts the charity will speak with one of our caseworkers. whether that's Sarah, Milena, Marcy, Jill, Claire, or Lucy. That means all 32,000 cases are supported by just 6 people.